Just one quick word. My grandfather Yoder was Amishman, but he loved his scriptures. And he read that scripture that said, I want men everywhere to lift holding hands, right? Sometimes we're not in the mood to lift hands at all. Sometimes they're not holy. I want men everywhere to lift holy hands, but he didn't want to make a display of himself in the Amish church where that wasn't the custom. So in worship times in the Amish church, he would stand like this. We can at least do that. We lift holy hands in all kinds of ways. We salute each other. We salute our commanders. We salute our military people. And to me, this is the real salute. The Lord Jesus Christ. We have a beautiful time this morning. I want Colleen and Joel and Bob to come. We're going to have a discussion this morning about Parkinson. And let's just get everybody up there on the goat. Wait. By way of introducing all of this, I was diagnosed with Parkinson January 18th of last year. And so it's a fairly new thing for me. Jewel, you've had Parkinson's for how long? 5 years, and Bob? 5 years, okay. And so we're all three of us in different stages of our fight with this thing. My first reaction when I found myself walking in the yard on a hot summer day with my hands shaking, I go, I think I'm just tired. What is this thing? And I would tell it to stop, but it would stop. And then I tried to hide it because, no, this isn't me. I've always been the strong guy. I'm not the weak guy. I'm not the guy whose body's falling apart. I've not taken any medication all my life. I've been really fortunate and in good health. And finally, about 3 months after this started, my wife said, why is her hand shaking so much? I go, oh, you know this? Because I was trying to hide it from her, too. And she said, yeah, go see the doctor. So I seen the doctor. It's too early to tell that it's Parkinson. They diagnosed an essential tremor, he called it. An essential tremor. I didn't know what was essential about it. I still don't. So let's just take a minute each and give a little bit of information about yourself. Starting with Bob over here. Let's let the guys know who we are, dear.
Hi. I took your Steve. My name is Bob. I'm a counselor in Springham, American family. And I got out of this disease about 5 years ago. And I think there's three things I really hate about it. Number one, I lost spatial control. I used to always smile at my wife and still want to, but my face doesn't go there automatically anymore, and I have to do something. To that end, trembling also comes because my face doesn't work well. And the one thing I want to tell you about Parkinson, shaking is bad, but there's a lot of things that are a lot worse than this. I'm really hoping what this is what we do is we that boxing, which somebody else to talk about better than me. Yes.
Good morning. I have looked forward to this.
Watch out for her. She could put us all into an exercise class right here. I promise.
Yeah. Give me a microphone.
She's dangerous. Yeah.
I've been looking forward to this. It's not often I'm in a room and I'm the only woman. So this is fun. My name is Colleen Bridges, and I'm the head coach and owner, founder of Bridges for Parkinson's, I also teach rock steady boxing classes, but Bridges for Parkinson's is a unique fitness and wellness program for people living with Parkinson's disease as well as other movement disorders that fall under the Parkinson's umbrella. And I've been in this industry now for June will be 20 years, and I love that this is where God has led me, because this was not the plan that I had for myself. And but this is where God led me, and I can't imagine doing anything else. I absolutely love it. But the thing about Bridges for Parkinson's is that we address the whole body, not just the Parkinson's. So if they come in with other issues, shoulder, back, whatever it might be, we address that as well. And God has blessed me with an amazing team of coaches that support me and help me and support our fighters. I call them all fighters. And they truly are in every sense of the word, because they all received the diagnosis, they all had to process that information, and then they had to decide whether they were going to fight back, and they have, and it's been amazing to watch. And here's another one.
I'm Joel Idrisi. I'm an artist and a graphic designer. I found out 5 years ago that I had Parkinson's when my bedside started shaking a little bit. And people would ask me, hey, Joel, what's shaking? That's on the left side. And it's my favorite, it's my right side. And so it gets harder and harder to draw that and paint. Like, one of the beautiful things about John's design for stuff, we might call something bad because it's something we didn't want or expect or up for, but all kinds of good things out of stuff like this. And so I'm becoming a mentor now more and more to be an art director and a creative director. And I work with several other artists who I can cast a vision, they can execute under my direction. And while I'm doing that, I'm actually sharing the love of Christ and modeling for them what it looks like to be a Christian in the workforce. And so there's a lot of goods coming out of this, and I'm being to be putting people like these, and you're changing my life and help me go forward to it.
And he's quite a boxer. Colleen is smart enough not to have us box each other, so we don't hurt each other. And we get a pylon, I would not want to box out. He goes for it. It gives everything. And you did the art for this poster back here, didn't you?
Actually, a lot of our stuff looks like that. There's another artist exam.
Oh, that's a fake.
Well, it's sort of one done in the same style, so.
Not a problem. I did. It's nice. I can see.
There you go.
How many of you guys have either Parkinson's or a family member with Parkinson's or a friend?
Wow.
Okay, so one of the things that Larry keeps asking me to answer to him, and I haven't been able to answer a question. He says, if a friend of mine has, and he's really third person here, if a friend of mine has Parkinson's, what can I do for him? And I think the first thing is to realize that the disability that comes with this is not just physical. There's also a mental strain to it, and there is depression sometimes, there is anxiety, there is apathy. And so my answer to that, and for me personally, Larry, because if you see me dipping into those spaces, come have a conversation. It's not so much about the physical thing as it is the fight that's going on. So Colleen, dive in to, first of all, what exercise does and the whole aspect of stress. And everybody up here can ask everybody on the platform a question. If you have a question for somebody else, jump in. I don't have to do all we're talking.
Well, first of all, 90% of people are living with Parkinson's at some point in time deal with depression and anxiety. And and feel free to jump in. That's a large number. And for some people, they've always struggled with anxiety and depression, but then some people, they're newly diagnosed and this is just not what they had on their plan, they're on their plate. And so it's taken them by surprise. But we know that exercise in general, for the general population, it increases your endorphins, it gets you going, it helps build muscle strength and bone mass, it keeps your heart healthy. So many wonderful aspects of exercise for the general population. But for somebody living with Parkinson's, they're dealing with rigidity, which is just severe stiffness. They have the tremor. We've talked about that. They also have gait and balance issues. I call him Dr. Bob. Bob talked about facial masking, hypophonia with their voice, even fine motor skills. Their handwriting gets really teeny tiny. It's called micrographia. They have bradykinesia, and that's where their overall movements look, and they are very slow. Sometimes they deal with festination, which is stutter walking. They'll be walking along, and then all of a sudden you see them go to their tippy toes. Sometimes they freeze, and they literally will freeze in place. Sometimes that's because they need a dose of medication and it's not time yet, or maybe they're not taking enough medication and it needs to be reevaluated. But stress and anxiety in general, on the general population, affects everybody. But for the person with Parkinson's, it takes it even a step further. And here's the thing, stress is more of an external factor. So maybe a work deadline or a confrontation that you're having to deal with a family member or whatever it might be. And so that's an external force and it adds stress onto their life. But anxiety is an internal force where it can be there regardless of whether they have stress or not. And having to deal with that is where they can often feel very lonely. And so exercise can help that. Exercise reduces the stress and anxiety levels by lowering the cortisol levels, which is one of your stress hormones. And it's a good hormone, but if it's too high, it can cause a lot of other issues. So exercise will, like I said, lower that. It'll decrease their anxiety, their depression. It increases that feeling of isolation, while at the same time addressing the symptoms that they are dealing with, the rigidity, the freezing, the festination, the fine motor skills, because at Bridges for Parkinson's, we're addressing all of that all the time. So our goal is to make sure that you guys walk out of the building with tools that you can do the rest of the day, the rest of the week. Because if you have tools in your tool belt, you're going to be able to work on the problem, right?
You still here?
Yes, I knew there was somebody in here as a handyman. So yes, we all have a tool belt, so to speak, and the more tools that are in there, we can do that. So we do exercises that obviously increase your heart rate, that work them in multiple planes of motion, working multi-joints, because nobody ever just moves their arm all day long like this. You have to move your fingers and your arms and your legs all at the same time. We do exercises that require them to do dual tasking, triple tasking. So they're having to think about their feet, think about their hands, process what I'm telling them to do. And by the time the hour is over, a lot of times they have completely forgotten or set aside whatever it was that was bothering them. Me too. I mean, there's times when I'm stressed out. I'm getting ready to teach a class, and I just tell everybody, you know what? Let's put everything aside. Let's focus on our bodies and these exercises, and in an hour, the stress is going to be down. So that 1 hour can make a huge difference, but overall, it helps lower that cortisol, the stress hormones.
I think it's one of the healthiest things I do during the week is a twice-a-week boxing. And it does relieve the stress. I can walk in stressed out, too much work, too much stuff, too many people ask me too many things at once. And not only do I forget about it, I don't care when I'm done. And it's not an apathetic not caring. It's like I am now prepared to deal with it. But Bob, talk to you a bit more about stress, about the mental health part of it, about what you have learned that people who are going through this can do to be as healthy as possible mentally.
I think one of the best things you can do is give up perfectionism. I mean, think about it. That just adding anxiety on top of anxiety. Because, imagine that I'm sitting there thinking all day that my thumbs are on a sink today, and that's all I do is think about it. That's perfection. And I think that depression comes when people are unable to accept. But I think there's a difference between acceptance and surrender.
Yeah, I'm sort of looking forward to that, that fun thing where you got to text and not being able to text. I'm sick and tired of all this texting stuff anyway. Joel, talk to us. You mentioned that in your introduction that there have been benefits, unexpected benefits. Let's talk about that for a while. Let's talk about the spiritual side and the other pieces of this that you have identified in your life as benefits. What is it?
I will say that I've worked really hard at what I did for years to become as good as I could be. And so excellence leads to success. The success is pretty dangerous sometimes because it goes to our heads. And everything that we have is a gift from God. And so we're stewards of our talents, our connections, our influence. And basically, I started getting out of control with my ambition, my work, my achievements. So there became idols in my life, more important than God himself. And so at various points, I've had God try to slow me down. And I couldn't slow myself down. So I think this is a gift that he's saying, hey, you can't slow yourself down, let me help deal with it. And so he knows what he's doing, and he's in control, and none of this catches down hard. And so I had to really just start looking at myself, say, okay, Lord, I want to be the man you want me to be. I want to serve you the way you want me to serve you, and not, follow my own agenda all the time. And so on a spiritual level, this has really helped me slow down and also to focus on other people and to invest in bigger picture stuff than just the immediate.
One of the things that was surprising to me about the boxing community, the Rocksteady boxing community, is the sense of camaraderie that is developed. And it's just like you start having these friendships and relationships with people in the class that you would never have chosen to be friends with ever. You wouldn't even have met them. And all of a sudden there's like this community of life. And so, one of the things we try to do here at the New Canaan Society chapter that we have here in Franklin is to build a community of life around you, around each one of us. And this is just another example that it can happen kind of unexpectedly. So that was a side benefit for me. And then all that. So Colleen, what's going on inside you? We talked to us a little bit more about how many classes a week, what you hope to see in the program, how are we getting the word out about what's available as a resource to this community, and anything else on your heart about this.
Well, and I love what you just said. And for me, on a spiritual level, God has used this to change my life. These fighters of mine have no idea. After you guys mentored me. And I wake up every day and I'm like, how can I, what can I do, God, to, first of all, glorify God and to minister to you guys? But you minister to me so much. I mean, Rich, I consider Rich my adopted dad. He's just so precious. So it's such an honor to work with them. I could go on for about an hour, but I will say about my vision. I hope that my vision is God's vision. That's what I want. My mission, I want to be God's mission. And the first and most important thing that you guys can do for me is pray for me as I minister to my fighters. I have the opportunity to be a light in a world where not everybody's going to go to church or be open to the word, but they are open to kindness.
Right.
And they are open to someone listening to them and loving on them where they are. And then who knows when the Lord will lead that. You can pray for Bridges for Parkinson's in that way. And I would so appreciate it. So much has happened with our program, and I want to keep reaching out to those in the Parkinson's community or in our community that are diagnosed now and trying to figure out what to do, or those who come along and they're newly diagnosed. What do? I have no idea where to go, what to do. I'd love for the word to get out more about our program. I love seeing my fighters thrive, continue to work and create music. That's been a real joy. That's been a surprise. 2 years ago, I asked Rich to write a song for me to just use at the gym and at Parkinson's walks or whatever we do. And I said, can you make it kind of a classic rock? And he comes back with Calling the Fighter. Next thing I know, we're making a music video. Next thing I know, we're singing it at the Peterson's event at the Bridgestone. Next thing I know, we have a second song that we'll sing for you in a bit. Next thing I know, we're writing a third song. Well, not me, they are. Third song and incorporate it. It's like a treasure chest to me because it's a song that incorporates all of my fighters here as well as around the country, and some very special friends who joined us on the music video. And it's called You Are Not Alone, because that's the message that I want to get out to everybody, that you are not alone. Yes, there's a lot of questions to be answered, some changes in life, but you don't have to do it alone. And so that's where Calling the Fighter comes in, and we make sure no one is ever turned away from our program. And so Calling the Fighter is now a 501c3. And it's for our scholarship program. And so we make sure that if somebody calls me and they say, well, I can't afford that because unfortunately insurance doesn't cover what we do. I said, that's okay. You just tell me what you can't afford and we'll pull it from the 501 and we'll make it work. So you can just pray that the Lord will continue to bless that so we can continue to reach as many people as possible. We helped about 60 to 70 people last year with scholarships. And what a joy to do that. It was about $65,000 in scholarships. And so what a blessing. And now we're already working on the next song. And like I said, continuing to reach and connect with our student our future clinicians, I should say. I work with Belmont, their PT and OT students, because I think they need to see our fighters in a gym setting and kind of get an idea of what they can do. Sometimes it can be a little clinical, and they think inside the box, and then they come to the gym and I say, why don't you work out with us? And they're like, okay, yeah, sure. And then halfway through, they're like, oh, this is hard. And so then it's been a lot of fun to work with our students, and we want to continue to work with that. And then something really surprising that I had no idea was going to happen is that the Lord's been talking to me for about 2 years about mission work and going to second and third world countries. And so just this week, I go to Brentwood Baptist, and we have a wonderful missions program. And so we are going to be partnering with their Living Hope program to help single women become trained group exercise instructors to go out into their community and help lead their disability exercise groups.
And that's incredible.
And so I'm really excited about that.
For those of you who are a family member or personally would like to be a part of the box ticket classes, which I highly recommend, the cost is $160.
It's whatever you whatever you come in and it stays out.
Are you like a political campaign where you start at one level and then without telling anybody, you start taking more out of my account?
No, whatever they come in at it stays at. Right now it's $175, but you get in-person classes with an OT and a PT. You get me there. You get online classes, which involve Tai Chi, rock steady boxing. You get the music and movement. We have a stretch class. We have our educational platform where you can get all kinds of articles or resources to address certain issues. And then you have your members only portal of the website.
And there's an incident. I want to talk just have you give this statistic. I was under the impression that Parkinson was primarily a disease that men got. And I was shocked when I walked into the boxing class and found so many women. Is there a percentage more men get it?
It is more men than women, but and right now I'm not sure what the percentage is because it's changed. But there's definitely a good, I would say at least 40% of women, 60% of men.
I was in that 35 and 40%.
But every 6 minutes, someone is diagnosed with
6 minutes.
Every 6 minutes.
Yeah, one of the things that we have in the Nashville community for which we can be so thankful is the good medical resources, and then this to go with the medical resources. Dr. Tom Davis did a clinic over the neurology clinic at Vanderbilt, and there are other good neurologists around, but we are so fortunate, and a lot of communities don't have the kind of resources that we have. Bob, we don't have a lot of time left, but I want to hear more from your heart and Joel. What do you want to leave with the guys? What's the path forward for you? What are you afraid of, if anything? You're not particularly a fearful guy. I really love you for that, but I know we struggle with the depth of, oh no, what's going to happen in the future?
I think one of the first things I did was buy a textbook on Parkinson's, and it was a blessing or a curse. Because when I, saw that you could have hallucinations and the different things like that was really discouraging. And sometimes I think ignorance is bliss, and that might have been something I wanted to leave out. And so the fear is that it's going to take one of those paths, and Parkinson's is like a snowflake. Two of them aren't the same, so they're all going to be different. And I think that when we make big lists, we have big depressions. But I think as the body starts to fail, that tendency is to make the list bigger instead of smaller. And so counting your blessings becomes real important. Looking for the victories in the class become real important. And I think your mindset has everything to do with it. I have this statement that pretty much says this, that acceptance and sadness equals change. Sadness without acceptance equals victim. What do I need to learn? Non-victim. Why is this happening to me? Victim. And I use that to delineate my thoughts, and that kind of helps people with anxiety and depression.
Yes. You know, one of the scriptures tell us to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, right? And I have thought for a long time, not wishing this upon myself, but like what happens if the last thing I can do is sit in my rocking chair on my porch and I can do nothing else? I can still love the Lord my God with my heart and soul and mind and strength. And so there's a place of calm and peace in what you're talking about. Is don't make the list bigger. Be content with the fact that we live in such an overachieving kind of world. It's like the efficiency, the human model of efficiency, which is all none from this world. We were taught from an early age to accept our responsibility, which is not a word that's in the Bible. It came out of the Industrial Revolution to make people more efficient. But we want to have ability to respond to where we are. Joel, take it. Give us a few thoughts about where you are, what's going on.
You asked about fears. One of my big fears is that I'm going to become a burden to my wife and other people around me as I become less and less able to do things on my own. And I really have to give that up. And I looked at my wife and we got the diagnosis, and she said, "Don't worry, that's what I signed up for when these other families can leave." So being able to accept help from the people is humbling, but also that's being a place where I can receive, and then would. That grace that God has shown me through other people is something I can give back to them. So it's a good place to actually not be able to have everything the way I want it. We're all in the state of managed decline. So you may not have Parkinson, but you're going to die of something. Life is
There, 100%.
right. So you might as well start getting ready for it. I'm taking over. That's all I do.
Yeah, I think some of these things where you get a diagnosis like what we have, it's just an early reminder that we're not invulnerable and we are going out to this place. This is really funny. My dad was 91 and a half when he died, and so I'm trying to be the good son. I'm calling him every day. He's 90 years old at this point when I'm asking them this question. Because a lot of us get to the point, it's like our theology might have been mixed up and bad. We don't really remember or believe that God actually does love us and has his arms around us all the time. And he's not letting it go. He doesn't do cash or release, and I, being the faithful son, I looked at him one day. I said, "Dad, are you afraid to die?" And he gets this little mischievous grin on his face. And he looks at me and goes, "How do you think we?"